family because they do stay so long.
Yeah, well, COVID kind of put a big wrench in that works because I had about four people working with me for between 15 and 20 years at the time, and had to let them all go, unfortunately.
Well, you seem to have really understood bringing value and bringing meaning to the workplace so that people work and they enjoy it. They are part of a team. I mean, people leave. There's not any loyalty in most businesses. Most kids starting, they're like, okay, I'll do this for a little while, but they're not looking long term. And you seem to really bring something to the kids and even
Where Colts left, it was a very sad time. My father had season tickets to the Colts. We went to the games all the time. When they left, we were around the team for, I don't know, was it maybe 10 years? It was a while.
It was a lot of years, yeah.
Yeah. Then we heard we were going to get the Cleveland Browns. And I said to my wife, I said, Julie, I am not going to become a Ravens fan until the Browns get a team back. Because I know how it hurt our city. And I was not a Ravens fan for, I guess it's 3 or 4 years, and then they got a team. And I said, okay, now I can be a Ravens fan. And I went in both feet. I love the Ravens. I love all the time. Say, hey, what do you think of this idea? What do you think of this idea? That's all wonderful. But that's only half the equation. The other half is people. And that's who we're serving. And that's who we can't forget about. And I do think that there's just too much dehumanization going on these days. And I do have faith in human beings. I think that human beings will always become better. And if you look from the beginning of time, recorded time that is, we've always gotten better, and we will get better. We just haven't figured this out yet, but we will. We'll figure it out. Human beings will understand that half your time is on this and half your time is on that.
Well, the last conversation I have, ironically, is about balance. And it's, if you're doing too well in life, welcome to the Dr. Smiley Show. This is a
Hello,
treat.
Smiley.
Well, this is a treat, Jerry. I mean, you and I have known each other probably more than anyone else I've had on the show. I've done hundreds and hundreds of shows, and I guess I had to get just as perfect as possible before I'd allow you to be on a show where you'd be so critical.
Whatever.
Anyway, you have been an amazing friend for upwards of 35 years, at least 30. And I've gotten to enjoy some of the most brilliant wine tastings for the last 25 years because of a gentleman named John Paul Barry who said, you guys are friends. Why aren't you doing this together? It's a marketing bonanza. So I just want to say welcome to the show, and thank you for being not just an amazing friend, but an inspiration to anyone who knows you, that you can live to inspire, you can make a difference, and you can have your purpose actually be alive.
Well, I totally appreciate you because you've been a great partner to us over the years. Every one of our shows, of our dinners, you come and you bring music. We love that. But more importantly, you've just been a real inspiration to me from a marketing standpoint. The first time I didn't really know you that well. We had met at a NACE meeting, which was the National Association of Catering Executives at the time. And we had met, and all of a sudden in the mail, I get a little plastic disc, and I didn't even know what it was. It was a CD. This was prior to I even knew what a CD was. And I get this thing, I'm like, what is this? And my assistant says, oh, it's a CD. You can put it in your computer and you can play it. Oh, really? I didn't even know I had one of those. But from then on, you've really inspired me technologically, from a marketing standpoint. And it's been a great relationship for sure. I don't think we ever yelled at each other once.
I don't think so either. I'll say that in the marathon of life, we both evolved a lot, and we both been able to stay together. And sometimes you outgrow people, and the best thing you can do is grow with someone, but grow to like them more too. And
Yeah, there's a great book that my father gave me when I was young. It's called Passages. It basically talks about the different passages in your life. Just because you were friends with somebody doesn't mean you think badly of them because you don't talk to them anymore. It's just they were a different part of your life. Now you're moving on to another part. So you just keep passing through life. And luckily, we've passed through a lot together for the last.
we have.
You say
And
25. I think it's been 30 some years we've known each other, actually.
yeah, you're right. I started off by saying it might be as many as 35. 30, we definitely know we met, but 25, we've really become, we were very strategic and very friendly in the business world as well.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
So,
mean, this is a great community. The hospitality community is a great community, and that's where you are an adjunct to with Absolute Entertainment, doing disc jockeys and other entertainment for events. And this is where, I mean, you're the number one person we refer. That's for sure.
well, I guess I was going to say this later as a thank you, but since you're bringing this up, I guess I need to make it a little clearer why you're so special. And this is not the how can I make you feel better, Jerry. This is a genuine comment and compliment to you. When you're a disruptor, you can be alone sometimes, and you never left me alone. You were always there to say, "I'm your friend."
Thank you.
And
Okay. Yeah.
and by the way, if your dog or you have a goat too, if you want to bring them into the show, so we're
I,
gonna.
I don't have any pets, but I'm thinking about getting a cat.
Well, you should. I mean, we have two cats. They're awesome to have, and you don't have to walk them every day. So the thing about you, Jerry, is you do a lot of things. You do a lot of events, but before we get into all the things you're balancing and juggling in your life and your authorship and your new, I guess, journey you're taking as a speaker and a culinary advisor, I'd like to go into that passage step, which is you have a passage in the beginning of your life, which is where you're born, what your childhood was like. Would you care to share with the audience what was a defining moment inside that? So where you're born, your childhood, and what caused you to be who you are today?
I'm sorry, I missed that. I apologize.
It's okay. So where you're born, what your childhood was like, and what defining moment happened that caused you to be who you are today.
Okay. Well, my childhood was a very typical middle income family, lower middle income actually, and my father progressed, and we did nicely in life. I had a very loving mother and a very loving father and a wonderful sister, so I was very fortunate. I know many people don't get that kind of fortune in life, but my family was a big Italian family. My mother's maiden name was Massimiano. We had so many cousins, 13 different cousins, and we always got together as a big family. So the one thing that I always loved was watching my grandmother cook for everybody. That was a big thing for her. In fact, I remember her trying to kick me out of the kitchen because all the kids were playing out in the backyard, and we could see them through the picture window. And this was in Cape May, New Jersey, where they lived. And she says, "Why don't you go out and play with the kids?" And I said, "Oh, Grandma, I'd rather be in here cooking with you." She says, "I'm thinking you might be queer." I said, "No, no, 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 no. I just like to cook." She goes, "Okay, okay." Old time, that was old school, right? So, anyway, she was just wonderful and literally just really helped me out a great deal. But again, having a great big family, we had big feasts all the time, and that was something that I think it really inspired me because I always wanted to be the person helping my grandmother put the meatballs out, put out the pasta, cook the raviolis, roll the pasta dough. It inspired me to become a chef, actually, and it inspired me to get out there and really become a catering chef. There's a difference between a restaurant chef and a catering chef. Restaurant chefs are much more focused on one particular menu, right? They also are focused on a style. Catering, like the word cater, we have to cater to. We have to take care of what these people want. What these people want is sometimes they want a German Oktoberfest. Sometimes they want an Italian dinner. Sometimes they want just a simple meat and potatoes dinner. And sometimes they want something very elaborate, like our wine suppers, which have some very creative dishes in it. Well, you have to cater to what they want. So you become very, very flexible, and you also become very diverse in your knowledge of food. So my knowledge of international food is very vast because I've studied it over the years. For 45 years, I've been cooking all kinds of foods from all around. I don't get pigeonholed into one particular cuisine, as it were. Although people always want to ask me, what is your favorite cuisine to cook? Well, pretty much Southern French, Northern Italian is really my favorite cuisine to cook and eat, but that doesn't mean anything. If you give me a Moroccan dish that you want me to make, I'm happy and thrilled to make it. So it's all exciting for me.
Two questions for you. One is that you mentioned that your grandmother uh, said, "Hey, you're a boy. Why aren't you outside playing?" But there's a lot of men that are chefs. It seems like it's a male dominated industry. Seems like it.
It is definitely a male dominated industry, and it's kind of people are in much of a quandary as to why it is because women. But this is my philosophy on it, or my theory on it, if you
Mhm.
will. Women back in the day were told they had to be in the kitchen. Okay, men were not. Men chose as a profession because they appreciated the food. That was me, right? Today, you're seeing many, many more female chefs because it's now a profession for them, and they're not being told that they have to be in the kitchen. So sometimes when you're told as a young person you have to do something, you kind of resent it. And I think that that's part of the reason, if not a very large part of the reason.
I think the secondary complement to that point is that men were the breadwinners, so they had maybe a little more business acumen. That if they did anything, whether it's food or deliver newspapers, anything, they're always thinking the money side of it. Even if they're not better at math than women, but they're thinking about they're the breadwinner. Okay, and then the part about you saying there's so many more women, I think the Food Network helped bring women into the spotlight that they're just as brilliant, and it doesn't matter
Mhm.
whether you have a man and woman in front of you. It's how much they know and how much they can deliver the culinary experience.
Yeah. It's also a very physical job as well. And I'm not saying that women can't do physical work at all. Of course they can. And there's some amazing women athletes and amazing women chefs. But I think the men are more driven towards more physical things as well. I just think
Mhm.
it's natural.
So when you were with your grandmother cooking, what age was that roughly?
Oh, I started observing when I was 4. I think she let me touch something when I was 6. So something like that.
And did like a spark go off in your head that I want to be a chef when I grow up, or
I didn't really think of it, what was my career going to be. That really wasn't in my mind. When I got into junior high school, you start talking about careers, and the teachers start talking about careers. And then I started saying, yeah, I'd love to be a chef. So I
yeah.
really went to my parents and said, hey, mom, dad, I want to be a chef. Can I go to culinary school? And they said no, because back then the only culinary schools really, there was one that was prominent, and it was in New York City. It was Hyde Park, actually, New York, the Culinary Institute of America. But the truth is that I didn't even know that existed. So the commonplace was VOTEC schools. And back in the day, there was a stigma about any kid who went to a VOTEC. They weren't smart kid. And of course, that was a wrong stigma. And my parents said, no, you're not going to culinary school. You're going to go to college. You're going to become a doctor or a lawyer or whatever you're going to become. And I fought them all the way. I'm still fighting them.
So where did you go to school?
Now, they actually are very, very appreciative of what I did for a living, and they love the business I built, and they've appreciated many, many dinners with me and events with me. So I went to Towson University,
Okay.
um, and just very simple college career. I started as a psychology major. I finished all my credits in 2 years and thought, geez, I should do something else. So I got into business management. And there's where I kind of learned that I really wanted to run my own business. And it would have to be in the hospitality business. And started working for a company called Lee's Ice Cream at the time, making homemade ice cream, which was exciting for me because it's the same thing as the recipes were exciting, creative, to really get behind it. And it was very, very high premium ice cream. But the thing was, I became the manager of that business. So it wasn't just making ice cream, it was becoming the manager and learning how to create systems, learning how to work with banks, learning how to create spreadsheets, things of that nature that really launched my ability to be able to create my own business. And I did in 1983. As a 21-year-old kid, opened up a little sandwich shop. It was a sandwich shop in the basement of an office building, and I heard the lady wanted to sell it. So I went up to her and I said, I was completely green, had no idea what I was doing. I said, listen, I hear you want to sell your business, and I hear that you're just not doing very well. And she said, yeah, I'm disgusted. I said, well, how much would you like for it? She says, $5,000. I said, well, really, all I have is $2,000. And she said, I'll take it. So I literally wrote her a check for $2,000. She took it from me, handed me the keys, and walked away. There was no contract, nothing, right? So I started looking in the refrigerator and the cabinets, and there's nothing there. It was completely empty. So I had to start from scratch. So I put up a sign that said, "We'll be open in 10 days under new management." Went to my father and said, "Hey, Dad, I just bought that business down at that office building." And he says, "Are you kidding me?" He says, "Why would you do that?" I said, "Well, because I want to own my own business. I want to be a chef." He said, "Okay, well," he said, "what are you gonna do for money?" I said, "Oh, money." So he took me to the bank and he co-signed a loan for me, and off we went.
How much did you need for getting it started?
It was $8,000.
And just to put things in perspective, I'm going to guess that 8,000 is more like 25 to 36 now.
Well, to open up a business like that these days would cost you a couple 100,000. So yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so it's much higher than my guess. Okay, got it.
No, no,
Um,
probably real dollars. Yeah, it's probably 25, $30,000. But
but you got to steal a deal because
you couldn't do it these days.
right, and to the point of your business management and your schooling in numbers, I've noticed you're very proficient when you look at an event, whether it's going to keep you in business or it's a charity.
Yeah, well, we've grown a lot in 40 some years. We've created our own proprietary software that calculates every event, and we can tell exactly how much we're going to make off of an event and how much we're not going to make off an event. Um, and I have a great team of people that have been with me for many years. I have, you know, one fellow's been with me. He's actually a restaurant manager now. He's been with me 28 years. Luis,
Yeah,
he's a
Luis is the best.
fantastic person. But I always make him run the wine dinners for us and take him out of the restaurant for that night.
I notice you do, and you have people that stay with you forever. I mean, you treat your employees and your I don't know if they're subcontractors, but like family because they do stay so long.
Yeah, well, COVID kind of put a big wrench in that works because I had about four people working with me for between 15 and 20 years at the time, and had to let them all go, unfortunately.
Well, you seem to have really understood bringing value and bringing meaning to the workplace so that people work and they enjoy it. They are part of a team. I mean, people leave. There's not any loyalty in most businesses. Most kids starting, they're like, okay, I'll do this for a little while, but they're not looking long term. And you seem to really bring something to the kids and even obviously the older people that there's security, there's loyalty, but there's also appreciation. What's your secret there?
Well, I think that loyalty is a fleeting thing these days. I think
Yeah.
that people are really just more concerned about where they can get the best deal, where they can get the best. But I have to tell you, I have the same clients from 25 years ago, 30 years ago that I have today. I mean, a lot of people have stuck with me, but I think it's really about because where we are on the spectrum, we're on the high end of quality, so we're not as much of a commodity.
Mhm.
Therefore, people they want that. So if they want that and they can afford that, they go for that. And that's kind of where we notched ourselves, which was purposeful. We actually thought that out and said, we want to be on the high end of things. First of all, I had to stroke my own ego and create wonderful, fancy things, right? That people were going to go, "Ooh, that's amazing, that's delicious," um, and not create burgers and French fries, right? Probably make more money with burgers and French fries, though. Actually, I know you would, but it's not about the money for me. It really isn't. It's about the experiences. It's about the mentoring, and that's one thing that I think is probably the greatest gift I've gotten out of this career is the people I've mentored. There was an employee who worked for me years ago, and she was a good team member, not the greatest, but a good team member, lovely person. And when COVID hit, I'd let her go, and I sensed and felt that she was very upset with me about that. So maybe I was taking it personally. I don't know. But about a month ago, I got a book in the mail from her, and the book had an inscription on it. And it said, I was tasked to thank somebody for mentoring me, one person, and that was you. And I just was shocked and just thrilled because giving to somebody else so they can carry on what you know, what you've learned, um, is a great gift. And that's for me when I teach. I learn more than I actually teach them.
Hmm. I think there's one thing that in this interview I'm seeing that we share at the highest level equally, and that is the commitment to experience, the commitment that your customer will experience something so great that they'll talk about it. And it's called creating a raving fan. And the art of that, ironically, is the numbers. You have to know what to charge in order to create the experience. And as you know, Apps Entertainment was like you. We didn't want to be the lowest person. We didn't want to be the medium. We wanted to be at the high end so we could actually provide customer service. And if you're committed to being 7 days there for your customers, whether it's you or someone else on your team, that's called an experience by itself. But then the event happens and they had every song they wanted. They put the extra 8 hours in that they're paid for instead of the 8 hours they're not paid for to prepare for the event, whether it's travel, music purchases, etc. And I know that's what you're about. And
Well, preparation, right?
yeah,
And because if you want to create a quality product, you don't just create it. You have to prepare to create it. You have to plan to create it. You have to have all the tools in front of you. And we call it in the culinary industry, we call it mise en place, which is a French term for everything in its place, right?
mm,
Everything has to be put together. So when I'm making a dish, I chop up my celery, I chop up my onions, I chop up my carrots, I get everything ready, and then I start assembling, right? Same thing with our events. We go through rigorous planning. We have a meeting. We go through every single solitary fork, knife, plate that needs to be sent to the event. We go through every menu item. We talk about how we want it to be done because sometimes because we do most of it's off premise, so it's which means I could be in a museum. So what size is my oven in that museum? Oh, there's no oven. You got to use one of our ovens. It's got to go in a certain size tray. So there's lots of different things that you have to plan at a time. And it really is a science to it. There really is. It's not just creative art. People think that you walk into a restaurant or you go to a catered event and it just was somebody just creatively put all this stuff together. No, it took a lot of planning, a lot of effort, and a lot of people, a lot of different people. We have, a warehouse department, we have a culinary department, we have a front of the house service department, we have a training department. All these people are important.
mm-hmm.
Besides the fact that the most important is the accounting department. So we can
well,
keep doing this.
well, and we called it the same thing. We called it the art and science of creating an event through entertainment, and it's the same thing. If you don't know, I mean, beats per minute, believe it or not, that's numbers. And if you don't know your beats, you don't know how to make beats go together. And so, and by the way, speaking of
And you
beats,
never put beets with melons, by the
I was
way.
just about, I set you up. I set you up there. So
Inside joke, I know.
Jerry and I had lunch recently and he called it out. And I said, I think you might be wrong on this one, Jerry. And he was not wrong. The beets did not match the melons.
That's okay. One grows above ground, one grows below ground.
So one thing I want to say, I was surprised when you came to this interview. I thought you were going to have your Bills shirt on.
Yeah, right.
So
Or
you've
my
been,
Steeler shirt.
yeah, you're
No, no,
still,
I'm a diehard Raven fan. Funny story about that. When the Baltimore Colts left, it was a very sad time.
Mhm.
My father had season tickets to the Colts. We went to the games all the time. When they left, we were out of the team for I don't know, was it maybe 10 years? It was a while.
It
We
was a
were out
lot
of
of
the
years.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we heard we are going to get the Cleveland Browns, and I said to my wife, I said, Julie, I am not going to become a Ravens fan until the Browns get a team back because I know how it hurt our city. And I was not a Ravens fan for, I guess it's 3 or 4 years, and then they got a team. And I said, okay, now I can be a Ravens fan. And I went in both feet. I love the Ravens. I love the team. Um, and I'm a diehard fan. That's all. So that's why I'm wearing my shirt today because they crushed Cleveland the other day, which is ironic, right?
Well,
On
they've
the
certainly,
30th
I know
anniversary.
that is ironic. Well, they've certainly been good for Baltimore. And then, of course, the play on words of the Raven, the poem from Edgar Allan Poe. It's just, and Edgar Allan and Poe as the mascots. It was really well thought out.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, yeah. When they said it was really Raven, I was like, that's kind of a weird mascot, but worked that well.
It did. It did. Well, we had to
And
have more
and
birds. We had to have more birds.
they're one of the top. I think it's like the top three teams in NFL since NFL history for winning percentage. I think the Ravens, as a franchise, won 57% of its games.
Wow.
That's incredible
It is.
over all those years. Yeah.
So you I really appreciate that you took a Baltimore and then you expanded obviously to metropolitan, but then you said, "Wow, let's go and see Europe." And you create these amazing experiences where you get to go on a tour with Jerry at Michelin restaurants, right?
Oh yeah, many of them. Yeah. Well, this is something that I love traveling, and I have traveled extensively. Although I've never been to Asia, which is I'm not sure I still want to go or not, but we'll see. Um, I love Asian cuisine, but this is not just about cuisine. This is about creating experience for people. So I thought, what would be great is to just have a one price for everybody to come, go on a tour with me. We go to a specific city. So we've been to, or a specific country, France, we've been to Italy, we've been to Argentina, we've been to Spain, and we've really focused it around wine regions. But the great part of it is that, again, we developed this great community of people that have come on these trips and they keep coming back on these trips. We spend our time really focusing, again, the preparation. So I focus on, I'll take a pre-trip is what I do. And I go and I meet with chefs and I meet with winemakers and I meet with um, hospitality people, hotels, and sometimes it's villas. I meet them ahead of time and I plan so that I know what the trip is going to look like and what it's going to feel like when I take it. So therefore, I don't have to um, guess. Right? I've been going so many times. I've probably done 20 trips to Europe. Um, in doing those, I really know what I'm looking for now. I know what I'm going to see. But the great thing about this world is that people keep creating, and there are new restaurants that pop up. There are new hotels, or new experiences, or new things to do. So it's just a great fun. I haven't done one since COVID hit.
I think
Um,
2026 is your seasons of travel.
I'm I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so. It's
Well,
just
I would like to help create that.
there was a lot to put together at the last 5 years, putting the business back together and then creating a whole new one.
Well, I think you have been the ultimate manifester, and I like how you said where we travel is mainly wine regions and the grape. You said the grape experience. So
It's a great experience. Yes,
it's a great
actually,
experience.
so I do have and we talked about this at lunch the other day. I do have another. I have the contents of another book, mostly done, and it's called Seasons of the Grape. So it's about my travels. It's about seasonality in different parts of the world. So that'll be fun,
Oh, that's
and
going to be
that'll be food and wine pairing focused.
yes, and you can ask me in the show. I have an amazing surprise connection for you that happened yesterday. So
Oh,
that's for
good.
that's at the end of the show for that particular book, and we'll
Was that
leave
a
that.
was that a connection?
That is a connection, and it's with a hook that's going to make that book way bigger. Okay.
All right, good.
So,
I'm in.
so anything else you want to talk about with regard to food, family, the experience? I mean, there's tell you what to be healthier. What is some of your advice on how you modify maybe how you eat so you're healthier or that you feel more energy?
Okay. Eat natural foods. Period. Don't eat processed foods. Processed foods are full of sugar, full of chemicals, and they really have been the problem with this country. I fell prey to that myself. Literally, I've lost 60 pounds in the last couple of years, and I only eat natural food. I go to the grocery store. I don't eat fast food. I go to the grocery store, and I actually, if I'm going to make myself dinner, which is about 4 nights a week, I make myself dinner. I buy what I'm going to have that night, that day. I go to the
Mhm.
store on my way home, and then I cook the food. That's the way it is for me. And I think that that's if we all ate more naturally and ate less processed foods, we'd all be healthier for sure. Um, and again, eat in the season, right? It's was tomato season. I ate a ton of tomatoes in August,
Mhm.
and I love that. And that's when they're best. That's when they're fresh. And that's what seasonality is all about. It's about eating when it's supposed to be eaten, not in a can or frozen. I mean, I'm not saying that some people do some really great jarring and pickling, That's all wonderful, but that's not mainstay. Mainstay, they're always side dishes. Mainstay is what's in season today. It's what we're going to eat. It's crabs, corn, tomato in the summertime. You know, that's what it's about for me.
You're following the mentality of the South American, or probably a lot of countries that they're close to the farm, and or they're close to the market, or they're close to the sea, and they say, today I'm having fish, so I am going to fish.
That's right. Exactly. That's right. I'm going to go fish today.
And
That's right.
man, doesn't it taste so much better? I mean, it is fresh.
It does when it's yeah when the food is fresh, obviously. Yeah. But I will also say this about chefs. A really talented chef who understands flavors and flavors as a chef, flavor is about balance, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
about sweet and sour. There are four taste buds, right? There are four main tastes: sweet, sour, salty, and bitter, right? If you just make your dish salty, it's not going to be appreciated. But if you make it salty and sweet, oh, something else, something happens, and people appreciate that. So really, at least two of those flavors have to be in every dish: sweet and sour, and salty. That's the kind of mix I like to look for. I don't think that people pay attention to that. They really don't.
It's incredible that you're speaking this language, and from a DJ I hear it and I go, wow. When you have a song and you put another song on top of it and it's exactly the right beat, if you pull that song out, it's like, what happened? I want it back. I want that back
Yes,
mix.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I'm not musically inclined, although I do love music. But I was listening to, I saw a video where a guy took a cup and he just banged on the cup three times and he recorded it and then he manipulated it
Mm-hmm.
to become three different beats happening at the same time. And it was just beautiful music. I was
Right.
like, from a bang on a cup. And that's, of course, that's technology based. But the point is, he created different levels of it. So like, when I'm creating a dish, when I'm cooking, I season throughout the dish. I don't season all of it at one time in the beginning. I season as things go. And the reason I do that is because then you create levels of flavor, different complex levels. And the
Mm-hmm.
more complex your dish is, the more pleasing it is to the palate. That's why people like appetizers so much, because it's a small amount. You get a really wonderful, fresh burst of taste, maybe a second one, and then you're done. When there's an entree comes, you're still struggling through that thing, and it tastes the same as it did at the end when it did in the beginning. I like to create things that have lots of different flavor components to it, and really hit different points of your taste buds and your palate.
So I'd like you to talk about, since you're talking about palates and complexity and mixing, you are a wine connoisseur, obviously. What do you,
I don't really like the word connoisseur, Ken. Sorry,
okay, you don't,
take that one out of your dictionary.
my lexicon has removed it.
No,
I,
this is why I say that. I say that because I think people are afraid of wine. All right, and I can't tell you the hundreds of people I've actually turned on to wine in the proper way. Right, you start them off with something that's not too aggressive and strong. Like if they only want to chase probably red wines, you start them off with Pinot Noir, right? Then you work them into heavier ones. What you see in the culture of wine culture is there's much more emphasis on, I think, the person telling and teaching about how important they are and how studied they are. No, it's just food. It's just wine. It's just grape juice. Just drink it and enjoy it. You wanted to worry about the complexities? That's great. That's your part of it. It's just like looking at a piece of art. I look at a piece of art and I go, "Hey, that I like that. It's pleasing to my eye. For some reason, it touches me." Right? I look at another piece of art. I don't like it. That's fine. Okay. But an art student can really, well, this because the brushstrokes went this way, because the light was here, they analyze it. That's fine if you want to do that with wine, but you don't have to. So don't be afraid of it. So when you say connoisseur, I feel like you kind of put a barrier up to those people who really should be able to appreciate wine. Wine's good for you, by the way. It's got
it
me this
is.
far.
Well, I could never do justice to the amount of food we've taken pictures of. I mean, we could be potentially at 1,000 pictures, but I do want to show a couple of shots. I just grabbed some from John Isaac, and I feel
Oh, I'm
compelled.
afraid.
Well, I feel compelled just to show just some of the beauty of what you have created. And
Wow.
by the way, this is just one experience. I want to be very clear. This is one photographer's eye at one dinner with roughly six different courses to include dessert. All the amazing, I mean, that is beautiful work. And no matter whether I'm taking the pictures, John is, or you have another photographer, it is hard to take a bad picture of your beautiful art.
Well, I've seen some bad pictures of it, so
Well, we have fortunately got great pictures
not
in
from
the,
you though, not from you at all. No, no. When I've taken them, sometimes they just don't look right.
well,
Food
you're
photography is hard. Food photography is much more difficult than people think it is.
well,
It's much easier to shoot a face, actually.
well, actually, to your point of catering, you have been an architect of not just the food, but how everything matches by how you refer people who you want to, because the food is the most expensive part of the budget of an event for the most part. And so when you neglect that by having the worst DJ or a bad transportation company or a bad whatever, what happens is it affects the timing of when that food needs to be delivered for the best experience. And so I just want to say, I've noticed that when you do your wine dinners or any event, the lighting's right, the music's right, the bride has communicated everything she needs and wants for it to be a stellar event. And did you notice I didn't say culinary?
Yeah,
Culinary
yeah.
experience.
We have five senses, and we all use them all the time, and we don't realize sometimes we're using them. But there's just something that makes something work for you because it was done correctly. You know, and that's what's important. And so we try to do things the best we can and take into all account all five senses. So you're talking about networking a little bit there and growing. One of my, I think one of the best things that ever happened to me was getting involved in associations. I was involved in the American Culinary Federation. I was involved in other organizations, but the one that really kind of centered me and really made me feel proud of the work I was doing was the National Association of Catering Executives. And it was a great organization that I worked with. I was national president for 6 years, I think. But I loved it because it taught me, I knew how to run a business, but I didn't know how to run a volunteer organization. And it taught me patience. I was, as a young chef, not very patient, as people have that stereotypical idea of what a chef is, screaming and yelling around the kitchen. That was me at 21 for sure. That was me. NACE kind of brought me to a point where I had to understand, I had to listen to everyone else's point of view. No one was getting paid to do this. It was all volunteer. So you have to respect that. So the payday was just basically, did you win an award or not? That was the payday, right? But more importantly, my reward and my award from that was that I learned how to do really good consensus management. So where everyone had a say, everyone was respected, everyone listened, but there's still one guy that's in charge, and he has to make the decision. But when your team understands the process that you went through, that was clear and honest and open, and you listened, all right. When you make the decision, they respect the decision you made. And
Yep.
this is how I run the business now. And it's been very successful for me to do it that way. Although my team does tell me I'm too nice sometimes.
Well, I mean, to your point about that, which is a segue to another conversation I want to have with you, the National Association of Catering Executives, for those that don't know it, is an organization that helps caterers network and have their vendors and all the people that are in the event industry become friends and friendly enough that they make better events together. And Baltimore was one of what, 30 or 40 chapters, 50 chapters?
40, it was 48 at one time. Yeah.
No, 48. Uh, quote me if I'm wrong. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're number one or two in the nation.
Well, we were. Baltimore was, and that was under the leadership of people like Vicky Preston, who really took that chapter to a new level. I mean, we've got 230 members, I think, at one time in Baltimore. Yeah.
Yeah, but even when you were president, we were in the top 5 or 10. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
big.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But again, I wasn't running the chapter.
Okay.
When I was running the chapter, I started, I think we had 20 members, and we ended up with about 80 after a couple of years. But everything was growing then. People were more joiners. I think young people today don't join as much, that's for
Right.
sure. I think they feel like they get enough of their education on their phone,
Yeah.
which um, which I don't have a problem with because I'm on many, many different sites that I utilize for. There's one called Granda, which is a really great one for professional chefs to go on to learn different recipes and some creative garnishes and ideas. So I don't think that the phone's a bad thing, but I think it's not the only thing. The other thing, you have to meet people. You got to get out there and communicate with other people because in the end, that's who we're serving. We're serving people. We're giving them food. We're giving them sustenance. We're giving them joy. We're giving them experiences. And if we don't honor that person and we just honor a screen, we're going to lose. And that's the problem I think we have in this society today. It's
Well,
worldwide, by the way.
you're right. It is, and you're making a point that I think is a little bit of an epiphany for me today, which is before the internet, there was something called a Rolodex, and if you met people and you liked them, you put them in your Rolodex. But if you never use your Rolodex, you didn't actually stay connected. And
Right.
so when the internet happened and you go online all the time, you're missing the offline experience. If you're offline all the time, you're missing the connected experience of what it is to stay connected online. So they both have a purpose. And if you balance them right, like everything else in life, you'll probably have a very nice bank account.
Well, the truth is that what you say is right. It's about balance. It's about like anything in life, right? You can't work out too much. You can't sit down too much. You can't eat too much. You can't drink too much. You got to do everything in moderation, but also in balance. So while I think that the connectivity of people through the internet has been wonderful, while I think that the learning opportunities through the internet, especially for culinary, I mean, I see crazy dishes all the time, which is wonderful. I get some really great idea. I get inspired. I send them to my chefs all the time, say, "Hey, what do you think of this idea? What do you think of this idea?" That's all wonderful, but that's only half the equation. The other half is people, and that's who we're serving, and that's who we can't forget about. And I do think that there's just too much dehumanization going on these days. And I do have faith in human beings. I think that human beings will always become better. And if you look from the beginning of time, recorded time, that is, we've always gotten better and we will get better. We just haven't figured this out yet, but we will. We'll figure it out. Human beings will understand that half your time is on this and half your time is on that.
Well, the last conversation I have, ironically, is about balance. And it's if you're doing too well in life and you're not sharing how well you're doing in life with people, like philanthropy and making communities better, you're missing the boat of why you were actually brought up to be successful as community supported you. And so
Mhm.
I'd like to end this part of the conversation before we go to the end of the show with you have always been a champion at understanding that the more successful you are in business, the more you must give back to the community. And I want you to share with the audience some of the philanthropic organizations, why you chose them, and how any business that is not doing well enough always does better when they actually connect with philanthropy. Because Apps Entertainment, and I'm giving the floor in a second, we chose to do 20 philanthropy events a year, even when I was 20 something. And the reason we did was we felt that was the best marketing effort to say we care.
Right. Yeah. Well, much like you, I mean, I was brought into the whole charitable philanthropic world years and years ago when I was asked to donate a table for an event, right? So you cook a dish and there's 20 chefs doing it. That's a great thing, right? I like that idea so much and how the chefs got together community. In fact, I had a competitor at the time, and I won't mention his name. He's since passed on. He was very, very good caterer who was reeling against it at a meeting, at a caterer's meeting, saying that it's going to ruin our business because the charities who were paying us to do the work, now are getting it for free from us. So it's ruining our business. And I stood up and said to him, I said, it doesn't matter. There's plenty of other business out there. A charity needs help. We should be there to help them. And by the way, he became one of the most generous donors over the years after that. And it wasn't that particular moment. I'm not taking credit for that. I'm just saying that I noticed he became very, very generous in his donations over the years. Um, Getting involved in those was fantastic. I love that. What it really did for me was it gave me an opportunity to use my leadership desires and skills to then organize. these events. So I became an organizer. And in fact, our company today organizes four really large philanthropic events where we're paid for the staff and the the bones, the structure of the entire event, the planning, all that, and then we bring in the chefs. So not only did I get an opportunity to organize something, but I also got an opportunity to meet chefs who weren't participating in philanthropic endeavors, and now they are. And I've made some lifelong friends in from those times and those moments. So I love it. I think it's a great thing, and all of our dinners have a charity attached. I think, as I said before, our favorite ones are charities. I focus towards I have a specific focus, and that is towards food and children, because the children are our future, and food is what I do for a living. So, Meals on Wheels is a very important charity to me. I know that's not for children, but it's feeding people that need to be fed. These are people who spent their entire life doing the right things, and then they find themselves in a position where they really can't afford their own meal. They can't get out and get their own meal, and so we take it to them. So that's one of my most favorite charities. Taste Wise Kids is another charity that I love because this is teaching children about food and nutrition. We go into schools, and I'm telling you, you need to come to one of these with me because they're fantastic. So we
I
go
do.
into a school of fourth graders. We sit down and we tell them about the four elements of taste: sweet, sour, salty, bitter. And we give them demonstration. We give them little powders. We give them a little bit of sugar, and they taste like, oh, it's good. And I give them cocoa. I say, smell it. They smell the cocoa. They're like, oh, that's chocolate. And then they taste it and they go, ugh, it's bitter, right? So we explain this, and then we explain to them how, what I was talking about earlier, you combine the flavors. So I have them dip their little popsicle stick, a little bit of water, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of cocoa, and a little bit of salt. And then guess what? They're like, this is the best chocolate bar I've ever tasted, right? So this is the kind of thing that you teach kids, and kids love it. There's a lot of other charities that we're involved with. Maryland Voice Choir is one of my favorite ones as well. They come, and they sing, and they're great kids, and it's a great organization. I know the people who run the organization. So for me, it's about kids and it's about food.
You do the
That's where my
Baltimore.
charitable organization goes towards.
You
I'm
do.
sorry?
I want to mention a couple of the others because they're very prominent and they could use a shout out. The Baltimore Orchestra.
Yes, yeah. It's not. It's a Bach Society actually.
Okay.
And I just like the guy who runs it. He's a
Yeah,
really
he's
great
awesome.
guy. Yeah, Herb's a great guy. So I just kind of just do that for him, basically.
Well, we went to an event because of you introducing it to us. So there's so many people that are at your event that get turned on to new experiences outside of that experience. I because you've done so much, and it really is about publicity. Do you want to name like two or three people or two or three other organizations that you really admire that you help in Baltimore, or even just talk about the events that you help organize?
I mean, there's so many organizations. I mean, we organized the Meals on Wheels large event for the year. We organized bow ties, bourbon and bow ties. We organized that event. That's a really good one. That is like 1,000 people. It's a
Yeah.
fantastic event. Um, there's
You
there's
do
so
your
many that.
oyster. You do your oyster event, but that's more at Manor Tavern. Is that correct?
Well, actually, we do the oyster recovery program, and actually, we're doing that. I think it's next week. We have that event going on at the B&O Museum. Yeah.
I know. I have to pay a lot of
But
people
that
to get
that's a
into.
food thing, and that's an organization that has really done a great job in helping cleaning up the Chesapeake Bay. The Chesapeake Bay was a nightmare, and they say you can actually swim in the harbor now. I doubt it. It's a river, by the way. Anyway, but still, Chesapeake Bay has gotten healthier and healthier over the years because of people who have really put their effort into it. So we want to support that. We sell a lot of oysters at our restaurant, and they pick up tons and tons of shells, which go back into the bay, which they then seed and they create more oysters. And I don't think you're really going to get many oysters that are wild anymore. I think they're all farmed,
Yeah.
but they're farmed in the bay, so it's the same as nature would do.
Yeah, and the reason I wanted to bring this part up is it's that if there's a problem in the community or in the city or in the country, and you say someone else is going to take care of it, it may never get taken care of. So if it's not you, then who? And I think you ask yourself that question a lot. I think when people come to you, they know they're going to hear a yes more than a no, and they know where your heart is. And so I just want to acknowledge you on the show
I
that
don't like the fact that you're actually putting this out on video that it's true, because I don't understand how to say the word no. It's really, every time I say it, it hurts. So
right. Well, I apologize for putting you on the spot
it's,
on that, but I will
yeah,
say
whatever.
that I want to say that there's a lot of people that if they embrace that, they would actually also see that they're living life better because it is a life extension.
Look, we're here one trip that we know of. There's got to be something after this, and my faith teaches me that there is, and I believe in that wholeheartedly. So you better do a good job on this earth, and it's not about who made the most money. It's about how did you affect other people. It's the guy who has the most people at their funeral that wins.
Yes.
It's not the guy who has the most money in his bank account, because he can't do anything with it afterwards, can he? Or
Well,
she?
as you know, I have a card that I love very much. It's the Keep Smiling card. And I just want to say my dissertation was on what is your SPH? What are your smiles per hour? And if there was an award I'd give for lifetime, it would be to you for the most smiles per hour that I think anyone's created in
Yeah,
the
but what
world.
about this one?
Oh, in that
When I move south, I'll be using this one.
I'll tell you, Texas is living proud right now. So, thank you for a wonderful show. I wanted to ask five rapid fire questions that just get people to understand. Hey, if Jerry likes this and he believes this and he's read this, maybe I should too, so I can be more successful. So, would you like to go to rapid fire?
I guess I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So to make it easier on you, since you're a good friend, if you can't answer with one, you can say, "Well, these are my two favorite." Okay, so you don't have to think too hard. So what book changed your life?
The book that changed my life was called Conversations with God. I'm not super religious, although I go to church and I believe in God and I practice what teachings were given to me, mostly about the golden rule, right? Treat others like you want to be treated. So, Conversations with God was an interesting, eye-opening experience for me. It was a book that really kind of got me able to think and deeply look into my soul as to who I was, and was I being honest with other people? Was I being honest with myself? So it's an excellent book.
And
Neil Donald Walsh, I think it was. Now there's a second version that he did. The first version is the better one. So you got to find the old version, the original version.
very good. And what movie inspires you
Besides Animal House,
besides Animal House? That was sneak. That was good. You snuck that
it's
in.
all
Like
about it's about food fight. That's all. I like the food fight.
that is one of the best.
Um, a lot of great movies out there. I mean, I'm not really well prepared for this answer, but I'd say that somewhere in time, because for me, a movie is not about teaching you anything. For me, a movie is for you to gain an experience and a feeling. And that movie, for some reason, with Christopher Reeve and what's her name? She was Doctor something on Jane Seymour, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And this was at the height of her beauty, for sure. It just touched me. It touched me, the romanticism of it. I'm a romantic person. Creative and romantics go together. And I just really felt that was probably my favorite enjoyable movie to watch, and forget about the rest of the world and just kind of, for a moment, put yourself in a place that you wanted to be.
Do you watch movies that are about food?
Most of them aren't done well. So yeah, I've watched. Of course, you watch everyone that comes up, but most of them really aren't done that well. I mean, for my favorite, if you want to, it's not really a food movie. But Sideways was a fantastic movie. It was just
It
funny and
was.
enjoyable, and it was about wine, obviously. But um, I also liked the movie Chef. I thought that was a really good movie too, because a lot of us, chefs in general, people I think have different opinions of chefs or different versions in their mind of what a chef is. They see him in the white coat, all fancy looking and prim and proper. Most guys are we're pretty down to earth kind of people. We really are. We're in fact the most popular restaurants in New York City that they have the after dining hours where the chefs eat. They're burger restaurants. That's what chefs are. They
Yeah.
really they've been eating and cooking fancy food all day long. They just want a burger.
Well, I agree with you. Sideways is to be enjoyed many, many times. How about Julie and Julia? Did you like that? Did you see it?
I did like that one. I think that was actually well done, and I had the pleasure and the honor to not just cook for Julia Child, but cook with her one time
Wow.
here in Baltimore. A friend of mine through the Tastewise Kids group uh, knew her very well, Diane Neese, and she brought her to town a couple of times. We did dinner honoring her and Robert Parker when they won the French Medal of Honor for culinary or hospitality. I'm not sure what the name of it was called, but we did that dinner, and we also did a full foie gras dinner where I cooked foie gras with her, which was unbelievable, fantastic
Okay.
moment in my life. And what's the great thing about this woman? You talk about an inspiration, and I don't think people know this about her, but there's something about watching her that it comes through, and that is that she always wanted to learn.
Right.
She came into the kitchen with me, tasted my terrine of foie gras, and said, "How did you do this?" She says, I want you to teach me. I'm thinking, you're Julia Child.
Right.
I'm a 30-some-year-old kid. I don't know anything about foie gras except how I played with it this time. And she just was that way. She wanted to learn. And when somebody that iconic drops the curtain and says, I'm just a person, teach me. That's impressive.
If there's ever a reason for me to ask rapid fire questions, which we're not doing good on rapid fire part, back and forth quick, but I will say, if there's ever a time you just brought something I never knew about you that you experienced this with her, and I'll say on top of the fact that she wanted to learn all the time, based on the movie, she was in complete wonder all the time. She was.
Yep. Yeah. Well, the movie captured it well. So that one, yes, is definitely probably one of my favorite culinary movies. Yeah.
Did you know the new one, Nona's?
I don't know that I've seen that one.
I'll just show you on. I'll just share the screen real quick. I think you might like it. It's 2025. It's an Italian.
Oh no, I
Um,
did see it. Yes, yeah, yeah, with what's his name, the big guy. Yeah. No,
yeah,
I
Vince
love that
Vaughn.
movie. It was fantastic. Yeah, I loved it. Loved it.
I
Yeah, it
met
was
Vince.
fun.
I met
But
Vince
it was
Vaughn
less
twice.
about food really than more about culture.
It was, but I
Yeah.
think that's what you're bringing when you have that wine dinner. When you bring people,
Sure.
you're bringing the culture, the experience.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Since
talk
we're
about that at work all the time to my team. I go, culture is important. We have to create a positive culture here. And it's never going to be finished. Never, because new people will come in, new problems will arise, and that's what eats a culture.
Yeah,
So you got to bring it back up.
I think someone once said it best when they said, "If you don't create culture, I will fire you." No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay. A favorite wine or two that you just are a go-to, you just love at restaurants.
Okay, so this is interesting. And I find this with most people who have spent experts, quote unquote, wine experts that have spent years tasting wines, they always end up in their own valley with their favorite wines. That's where I end up in. Um, Chateauneuf de Pape's, Gigondas. They're big, heady wines, but they have great flavor. They're rough around the edges, but they also have beauty in them, and you get lots of different layers of flavors in them. So for me, that's where I love to live. I mean, my favorite white wine is Condrieu from the Rhone Valley, and my favorite red is Chateauneuf de Pape. So these are just styles of wines. These aren't specific wines, but specific, they're not specific makers of wines. These are styles of wines, like
So
Cabernet,
yeah.
like Sauvignon Blanc.
So I'm putting you on the spot a bit here. So I apologize in advance. But we have, in my opinion, we have a lot of amazing local wineries in the Maryland, Virginia area. Is there any of them that you just say, wow, I love having them part of my wine dinner?
Um, we don't do a whole lot with local wineries.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I mean, there are some that make some really lovely wines. I mean, Rob DeFord and I have been friends for many, many years, and I like some of his white wines. Maryland's a tough place to grow wine. I
It
will
is.
tell you that Black Ankle is doing a really good job up in I forget what the name of that area is, but they have planted their. It's very Mount Airy. That's what it's called, Mount Airy. So it's a breezy area. That's why it's
Yep.
named Mount Airy, right?
Right.
So they have planted their grapes so that the winds blow through them, which dries the grapes.
Gotcha.
Because the problem with grapes in the summertime in Maryland is we get a lot of rain, right?
Yep.
The grape growing regions are dry all summer long. They get no rain whatsoever. So the vines have to stretch down, the roots have to go deep to look for water. And when they do that, they're stressing the vines. They're creating more and more flavors because they're picking up mineralities and things out of the soil, right?
Hmm.
In Maryland, you got a lot of water. So you don't have the complexity in the grapes. But more importantly, you get a little bit of mold because the grapes are very tight. Water gets in the middle, and they sit there, and it kind of gets a little bit of moldiness to it. So when you have the air going through, it's drying the grapes. So they're actually, to me, they're doing the most successful red wines in Maryland is Black Ankle.
Well, I have a guilty pleasure, and I hope it doesn't dissuade you from inviting me to a future wine experience. But
So you
I
drink a Coca Cola.
no, it's Linganor's sangrias. I like Linganor's mango sangria.
Leonor does a really wonderful job with fruit wines and sweeter. Yeah, if you like sweet wines, it's a good place to go. Sure, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Cool. So, who's your
It's
hero,
not
sir?
that people. It's not that winemakers in Maryland don't know how to make wine. They're just not starting with the right product because it's just not a grape growing region.
Right.
Well, it certain grapes grow well here. Savelles, Vidal Blanc, those grow well here, but other ones just really don't.
All right. Well, we're down to our last final couple questions. One is, who's your hero?
My hero, my father,
And that
he's
and
90 years old, and he's lived an honest, good life, and he cared for his family and he cared for us. Um, so that's that's my hero. That's who I look up to because a hero is somebody you want to be like.
yeah. Well, I didn't get a chance to say this earlier, but I've met your parents multiple times, and they're always so proud of you, and they're so happy to be at the experience and seeing what you're creating all the time. So,
Well, I pay them off to say that.
who's someone that you'd like to meet that you've never met?
Uh, Dead or alive,
Your choice. You can pick one of each, or just pick.
Thomas Jefferson. Thomas
Thomas Jefferson.
Jefferson.
Very good.
Yeah, he's my number one person I want to because he was a Renaissance man. He knew so much about so many different things, and I find those kind of people so interesting.
Yeah.
That he loved food, he loved wine, he loved people, he loved culture, he loved government, he loved. Yeah, he was just that. He was just a great man.
He was
So
library after library, right? Of
yeah,
good.
yeah, amazing.
All
Yeah,
right,
and
and
he makes a good bourbon too. I don't know if you ever had Jefferson bourbon, but it's a good bourbon.
I bet. Well, I'm looking forward to that being shared. All right. What is a quote you live by?
So it's a quote that I came up by myself, and it is something I've always lived by. There are only so many meals in your lifetime. Make them all count.
That is a great one. Is that in
Your
is it
favorite one I say is never trust a skinny chef, right? So
right? Do you have that in your book, the recipe book? Is that like your first page by any chance?
I don't know that it is or not. I don't really
I
know.
know we're putting a couple new recipes and photos in there, so maybe we can add that to the first page. I like that.
Sure, we can. Yeah,
That's the
that'll be
good
a good
news
idea.
about when you publish with someone that markets because you keep making new books, you can make new ideas, right?
I love that. Love that. Yes.
So how can people? I know we asked in a previous segment because you're doing something called International Chef Day and how people can reach out and connect with you, but this is a different program. So how can people connect with you, learn about the wine dinners, and celebrate you?
So email me is fine. I'm on email all the time. Jerry Edwards at chefsexpressions.com. So it's CHEFS expression. So the chef and the expression are plural.
Yes.
Also, the manortavern.com is our restaurant, and we um, under that you can find all about our catering. You can find everything about our company and who we are.
and
That's it.
about the events and about the wine
And you
tasting.
can go to Amazon and buy the book.
Yes. And we showed you where it is. But the wine
Seasons
dinner,
of Taste, everybody.
it's a beautiful book. I'm very proud of it. So the wine dinners are on your website as well.
Yes, I would never be able to do this book, or would never even done this book without you, Ken. So something I'll be eternally grateful to you for. And we're gonna do a bunch more, right?
Yes, we are, sir. So thank you for being part of the Dr. Smiley shows. Thank you for all the smiles you bring to the world, and you make life more fun. So thank you.
So do you, my friend. You have a great day.